Next, we're going to have a look at whether or not the babies were low birth weight or not low birth weight by the race of the mother, and eventually we'll be interested in doing a chi-squared test of association or independence to see if there is seems to be any link between race and low birth weight. If we just look at this graphically first and go to graphs, we can have a look at these two variables with a bar chart. Actually, we should probably have a look at what the variables are before we do that. So we've looked at low birth weight. If we go into race 2, race of the mother, and if we just click into the values, we can see that we've got white, Mexican, black, Asian and mixed. And there seem to be a whole lot of numbers missing here. So we've got white, then 6, 7, 8, 9. I don't know what happened to 2, 3, 4, 5. Could be that there are other minorities that were so underrepresented that they were removed from the data set, or they could have all been combined into this mixed category down the bottom here. So that's what we're interested in plotting. So we've got one nominal or categorical variable, and we want to have a look at how that relates to another nominal categorical variable. So if we go into graphs, chart builder, we'd be interested probably in just doing a bar chart. Now a simple bar chart won't be enough because that will only plot one categorical variable. We're going to need either a clustered or a stacked bar chart, and these are both good in different situations. Let's start with a clustered one. Drag that in, and we've got whether or not the baby is low birth weight. Now I think I might prefer to have that as the cluster variable, so I'm actually going to click on that and I'm going to drag that up to the cluster variable. And on the x-axis, this is where I'm going to put the race of the mother. It's not always clear which is the best way around to plot these. Sometimes it's a good idea to do it both ways and have a bit of a think about which one is showing whatever it is that you want to show in the data. And you'll see over on the side here it's going to plot the count, and we'll come back to this in the next bit. So if we just click OK, we can see here that we have a small proportion of low birth weight babies for the white mothers and then also for the black mothers, and then there's a few low birth weights for the Asian and the mixed, but it doesn't look like there's any for the Mexican. Now the biggest problem with this graph, it's good for showing us that we have very small counts in some of our categories, and so it is a useful graph. But if we're interested in the relative proportion of low birth weight babies, because there are such unequal sample sizes in each of these groups, we can't see if the proportion looks different in each of these cases. And so instead of the count, we might want to plot the percentage. So if we go back into graph chart builder, you see over on the side here in the element properties. Now if you're not seeing this box, now it might show up on the other side. There's a little toggle here, little button here, element properties, so that'll toggle it on and off. At the moment it says count. I would also like to see this graph as a percentage, and the percentage I would like to see it out of is not the grand total, but I would like to see out of each x-axis category. So this is going to say for each race what is the percentage of low birth weight or not low birth weight, and then we can have a look to see is that the percentage, does that percentage look the same across each of the races. Continue and then click apply. If you don't click apply, it will forget what you've done and you will just show you the count again. So check that you've got percentage showing up the y-axis here, and then click OK. So now we can see that we've got percent on the side, and as a percentage it looks like the black, Asian and mixed race mothers have a higher proportion of low birth weight babies. There don't appear to be any low birth weight babies for the Mexican mothers, and we've got a smaller proportion for the white mothers. Now this is where it might actually be easier to look at this with a stacked bar graph. Because we know the total is 100 for all of them, we can just look at the relative proportions going downwards. So if we go back into graphs chart builder and see the next one across stacked and just drag that in, and it should remember the rest of our variables, so we don't have to modify those. it does forget that we wanted the percentage, so you'll have to go back in and change that to percent, and each x-axis category, continue, apply. Okay. And so now this graph is quite nice, and we can see that out of the total of 100% of babies for each race, we have a certain percentage are low birth weight, and it looks like from the graph there are more low birth weight babies in these three races, none for the Mexican and the small lower for the white. And the question really is this statistically significant? Is there an association between race and low birth weight babies, or is this just due to random variation? And that's what we can test in the next video.